Hi there, my name's Kate Borer, and welcome today to an interview where I'm speaking with Dr. Lucia Kelleher. And today we're talking about creating sustainable change. Lucia, welcome.
Thank you, Kate.
Lucia, firstly, let's just explore a little bit about, what is this need for sustainable change?
The reality is that in order for any progress, which requires change, it has to be sustainable in the sense that it will be something that you can continue to build on, so that you don't sort of fall back to the old habits or the old behaviours that you're wanting to change in the first place.
And of course, in organisations or even in people's personal lives, it's something that really does appear to be quite a challenge.
It is. It's a great challenge, and I think that there's this whole myth that people are afraid of change and they resist change and so forth. But that is exactly a myth, because people, like by default as humans, we're changing all the time, and we're actually quite good at it. But the key to actually being able to be good at it is to have some sort of visibility around where it is that you're going with respect to the change and where you've been. So that's where the sustainability comes in.
All right, now I know you've developed a model that the guys have access to, but let's just talk us through what are the key elements towards driving a sustainable change in terms of behaviour in an organisation or in terms of life.
Again, if we come back to the basics of humans, in terms of there's two fundamental requirements with humans. One is that they need to feel safe and secure, and the second is that that we need a certain level of predictability. And so, if we actually apply those two basic premises to the whole concept of change, when you're changing, you're moving from a point to a point in the future that you need to go to. In the case of a workplace, there'll be an objective that's a business objective generally that will require employees to change. But for a personal goal, for example, if you're wanting to lose weight, you have a desire to lose X number of kilos, you can see that in the distance, and you're at a starting point. So you need to be able to have some process to be able to gauge your movement towards your goal, and equally importantly, and perhaps more importantly, a perception of how far you've come from your pain point or the position that you were in before you embarked on the change journey. And in order to do that, you need to be able to have some mechanism for measurement.
So it sounds like there's a few things there. The first is to get really clear about your starting point. And if we think about The Biggest Loser as a concept, we often see, weeks into the journey, or particularly towards the end, they'll do activities where they'll actually, do challenges with the weight they've lost on their back, so that they're highly connected into what life was like at the beginning of their journey.
Absolutely. And Kate, you've made a great point, because primarily the biggest problem with change is that we forget that pain point, or that starting point, and particularly within organisations, there is no anchoring, if you like, of the starting position or the baseline when people want to move away, or there's a desire to move to a new behaviour. And the only way that you can absolutely anchor that is through a process of recording or measurement. So you start at the baseline and you put some descriptions around what that baseline is, because then it helps you so that you can look back when you're on your journey towards the change, and to be really able to remember what it was like. Because unless you do, you'll forget, and then you'll fall over with your attempts to change, and you'll stop.
And I guess the measurement process does a few things too. It's all about reinforcing the fact that you're making progress towards your goal. So, for example, we weigh in on The Biggest Loser every week, because I then am able to measure the effort that I've put in towards that goal and the outcome I've achieved.
Absolutely. And that comes back to this desire that humans have for things to be predictable. So it's like, okay, for the example of the Biggest Loser, if I put this effort in, my desire is to lose some weight, and therefore I did lose the weight by putting that effort in, fantastic. So therefore that gives them predictability around, okay, if I do this again, that means I'll lose more weight. Fabulous. So it's the same with if you extrapolate that to an organisation. So if you've got a desire for your people to change their behaviour to reach a certain goal, there has to be some process where they can actually measure that they're moving towards that goal.
And I guess also that mere process of measurement, if we now take the concept of behaviour change in terms of implementing trainings, for example, measurement also sends a really strong message to an individual that this is important, that we actually want you focusing on this and we expect you to be driving or creating some sort of change.
That's right, and you've just highlighted a point there, because within every change process there has to be a level of self-motivation and self-responsibility. In the absence of any form of measurement, there is no motivation because there's no visibility. And quite frankly, as I was saying before, the need for predictability is very, very powerful within humans, and that's why we see behaviour change falling over so many times